The New York Times is shilling hard for regime change in Venezuela. Hi, thanks for watching. Today is Monday, Mainstream Media Monday, where I give you something that's going on in the mainstream media and how it affects all of us. Today, I want to talk to you about the New York Times. I've been meaning to do a video on this since I first read it a week ago, but their opinion page a week ago on the 1st had a story. It was one of these video essay stories. It's what my fellow liberals don't get about Venezuela. Stop sanitizing a tyrannical dictator. My country deserves change. And it's written by Joanna Hausmann. It says, Miss Hausmann is a Venezuelan-American writer and comedian. Okay, great. I'm going to get the views of a writer and a comedian. That's all we know about her. Well, that's where there's a little bit of a problem. You see, because Joanna Hausmann has a family, and her family is very much tied to regime change in Venezuela. You see, her father, Ricardo Hausmann, he is a neoliberal IMF World Bank guy, economist. He's chief advisor to Juan Guido, the guy that would take over if regime change happens. He's going to benefit a great deal if this thing does take place. Also, her mother is, she was executive director of something called Sumate. It was a civil society group that back in the day sought regime change against Chavez, the previous president. Her uncle in the video, she says, he's in jail because he's a journalist. Well, it turns out it was a little bit more than that. He was put in prison for extortion, financial crimes against the government, and perhaps things that are even worse than that. But that's the issue that I have with this piece. You see, because even if we look at the New York Times editorial standards for the New York Times, it's on their webpage, our duty to our readers. Let's see what they say about this kind of disclosure. The Times treats its readers as fairly and openly as possible, in print and online. We tell our readers the complete, unvarnished truth, as best we can learn it. It is our policy to correct our errors, large and small, as soon as we become aware of them. Well, did the New York Times, were they aware of who her family was? Well, according to this comment on the story, on the day that it went up, it says, here, let me quote, I think it's an ethical error of the New York Times to not disclose the fact that her father is Ricardo Hausmann, director of Harvard Center of International Development and professor of the practice of economic development at the Kennedy School of Government, blah, blah, blah. To say nothing of the merits of his plan, it should be noted that her father has a lot to gain politically and professionally should regime change happen. Yeah, that's true. Needless to say, her mother and her uncle and whatnot. Well, the executive producer, Adam Ellick, responded to this comment, says, thanks for your comment, Giorgio. We were aware of her father's biography before publication, but Miss Hausmann is an independent adult woman who's built a popular following on her own by producing a portfolio of argued videos about Venezuela via her own YouTube channel. Well, that settles it. The New York Times doesn't have to tell you about her ties to her parents or her uncle or anything like that. They can just tell you that here she is. She is a writer and a comedian. That's all you need to know, according to the New York Times, because they are giving you the complete, unvarnished truth. Oh, and they do correct their errors, large and small, as soon as they become aware of it. Yeah, because they've changed nothing on this, and it's been over a week. See, this is personal to me because, well, we all have types. And my type seems to be, in the past 20 years, anyone that I've dated for more than 2 weeks has had a subscription to the New York Times. They get the paper on Sunday. That's something that they like to do, feel informed, listen to NPR, read the New York Times. that's kind of my type, okay? And anytime I question the Times, I get told, I don't want to hear that. That's not what I want to hear. Please don't tell me anymore. And it's really disappointing to me that people in my own life never want to hear that the Times is pulling this nonsense. But they are. They continue to do it. And the reason that they do it is because they can. The people that buy the New York Times don't care if they get the truth. They're getting the story that they want to hear. That's the real issue. But, shame on the Times for this. Shame on the Times for not correcting this, not putting up a little blurb just explaining who she is. It's really, really, really bad journalism. I understand that this is an opinion piece, but you should still identify who the person is in an opinion piece. You can't just say, oh, she's a comedian who happens to be the daughter of a guy who would probably decide the way the economy runs in the country if this were to change. But please don't say any of that. This video is such propaganda. I was going to do a quick review of it, but there's so much in it that needs to be fact-checked that it's going to take me a little bit longer to get that video done. So I hope to have that done soon. But in the meantime, I just wanted to let you know what the New York Times was doing and if they are, fulfilling their duty to their readers. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Peace. Help me reach my goal of 1 million. Make that 4,000 subscribers by hitting the like button and subscribing.